Good morning, Taiwan, and welcome to our show. I am Louisa Lee, here to keep you informed and entertained. 欢迎收看 Louisa 报报，每天给你最新奇、最有趣的新闻。First, to an update regarding the situation in Syria. United Nations envoy Kofi Annan has expressed concerns over the ongoing attacks that have been reported in parts of Syria a month after a ceasefire has been announced. Annan said that although the presence of the UN observers had brought calmer days in certain places, Syrian authorities still need to fully implement the peace plan to prevent the violence from spiraling into civil war. 叙利亚虽然已经承诺要履行和平协议，但是还是有些地方战火不断。联合国特使 Kofi Annan 还是呼吁叙利亚政府要尽快让国家恢复平静。
Amateur video out of Syria shows the devastated streets of homes. The video, which could not be independently verified by Reuters, comes as the International Red Cross is saying that fighting has been so intense in parts of Syria that at times it has qualified as a localized civil war. A UN-backed ceasefire was announced for Syria on April 12th. Now UN envoy Kofi Annan is warning that the peace plan may be the last chance for Syria to avoid civil war.
I believe that the UN supervision mission is possibly the only remaining chance to stabilize the country. And I'm sure I'm not telling you any secret when I tell you that there is a profound concern that the country could otherwise descend into full civil war.
The UN says that more than 9,000 people have been killed in Syria since the uprising began last March. And yet people continue to take to the streets, calling for an end to the regime. The UN says that more than 9,000 people have been killed in Syria since the uprising began last March. The Syrian government blames the violence on foreign-backed insurgents and says more than 2,600 members of its security forces have been killed in the uprising.
And now to news in Brazil, and it's up to Mother Nature to show some mercy to the northeastern region, where people and animals are experiencing the worst drought in 30 years. The authorities, who are worried that the dry weather will last until October, have since declared a state of emergency while providing assistance to the affected individuals. 巴西面临30年来最严重的旱灾，很多民众无水可用，农作物更是被晒干，损失惨重。
Learning to live without in Brazil. A severe drought hits northeastern Brazil, leaving a trail of death and despair.
The drought comes in and the animals lose their energy and become weaker and weaker. Then they fall to the ground, and once they are down, they don't get up again. They survive for 2 or 3 days, and we try to feed them on the ground, but they usually don't survive and end up dying.
It is the worst drought in 30 years. The federal government announced a $1.4 billion package to help prevent droughts in the region and assist affected families. Lakes and water reservoirs have dried up. Families who live in remote areas sometimes have to walk miles just to get water. Crops have been scorched. Residents gather what they can. Little can be sold.
It's impossible to sell them because the supermarkets only want quality products. And the way this is, the supermarkets are refusing to sell them.
80% of the region has been struggling with water shortages. Local authorities have suspended water use by industries and launched an operation to truck in water to hundreds of affected towns. Weather forecasters predict the drought may last until October.
And now to other news. And the perks of city life may not be attractive enough to keep everyone around. In South Korea, many urbanites are moving to the countryside to seek for serenity and peace they cannot find in metropolitan areas. 在南韩有越来越多的人因为不想过压力太大的城市生活，于是有的人会趁着假日到寺庙里去亲近心灵，也有的人直接就搬到乡村当农夫。
As more and more people are tired of being fast, many of them are turning to pursue slowness in their life by shifting from a fast-paced lifestyle to a simple life. The slow movement is now spreading to South Korea as the country is suffering from the consequences of its rapid economic development. It has become Asia's most urbanized country, while Seoul has 8 times the population density of New York City and 3 times that of Tokyo. Many South Koreans have felt the stress of living in the city, where people need to constantly compete for schools, jobs, promotion, and even a space in the city. To escape from the stress in life, some South Koreans are turning to Temple Stay, a program which allows people to spend their weekends in Buddhist temples to live a few days as a monk. Temple stayers start the day at 3:30 in the morning and meditate and eat like the monks in the temple. They can only eat what is being offered to them and humbly accept the food. Through the program, participants learn to wash away all their worries and learn to concentrate on their body and mind. Instead of choosing the mind-clearing programs, many other Koreans are moving back to countryside to enjoy the pleasure of a simple life. According to government statistics, as many as 10,503 families left Korean cities in 2011 to take up farming, more than double the number in 2010. And many of them felt happier and their relationship with their families became better after moving into the countryside. Based on the statistics, even though incomes in general are much lower than those in the city, averaging $28,000 against $37,000 a year, only 7% of those who went to the countryside said they were unhappy with farm life, despite the lower incomes.
And now to a new flick in theaters this Friday that will for sure bring some tears to your eyes. Starring Rachel McAdams and Channing Tatum, The Vow is inspired by a true story of a couple whose relationship is put to the test following a car accident. 由 Rachel McAdams 和 Channing Tatum 主演的爱情片《爱从来》本周五要在台湾上映了，剧情很感人，我们一起来看看吧。 They have vowed to be there for each other through the good and the bad. After a severe car crash, Paige, played by Rachel McAdams, is left with no recollection of her relationship with her husband of 10 weeks, sending the couple to square one. Can Leo, who is now a total stranger to Paige, win her heart once again?
My head hurts, doctor.
She doesn't remember me.
Her memory is going to improve with time.
Surprise!
We miss you. Coming home to a life I don't know. That's a lot to take in.
We'll figure this out together. In the morning. What?
Please knock.
It's habit. I'm sorry.
The last memory that I have is being engaged to Jeremy.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry. This is,
Jeremy. Been a long time. I need to make my wife fall in love with me again. I want to ask you out on a date.
This is the exact parking spot where we first met.
I know you remember what we were like together. You like this, right? I'm trying to save what we have.
I'm not trying to hurt you.
I miss our life together. I miss being with you.
I hope one day I can love the way that you love me.
You figured it out once. You'll do it again.
And that's it for this edition. I am Louisa Lee, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Meanwhile, stay with CTS for the latest weather update and for more top stories.